Everybody, want to welcome you to 11. I'm Church War Keegan Bible study here tonight. This is Pastor Bersham here. We're in the book of Leviticus. Now, we have started our march through the whole Bible because we say we understand before you can understand God, you must know some things about God. One of the things about this Bible is one of the scriptures that we use to say, well, these are God's words or situation that God put us in so that we can learn about God. When you're going through the first five books of the Bible, you can find various sources. You have the Torah, which is what the Israelite use. You have the book of Jasher, and for us in the United States or the Europeans, they use the King James Version or what we consider as the Holy Bible, international, however they try to translate it in and out. What I love to do and what I have taught you guys to do is to verify all of the facts. The first five books in the Bible is literally talking about a lot about the beginning and the start of God separating people and building a what new nation. You know, God didn't want his peoples to do what the world was doing. God thinking was, if I can change these people and if they can see my grace through these people, then the world would want to be more like these people. But those people went to be like those people. They wanted to be like the world more than do with God. What is it about us as humans that makes it hard for us to make the changes we need just to do what God say? For all the changes that God wants us to do, what's in our best interest? What is it about us that make us hard to change or just to be something different? You know, think about that as we go through them. The book of Leviticus 15:16 reads like this. He wanted to separate the children of Israel from their uncleanness, that they die not in their what? Uncleanness. Now here go God. He took these people, okay, and he wanted to separate the sin out of their life so they don't die in sin. That's what uncleanness is. So remember, they wasn't perfect people. And when you come to God, you're not a perfect people. But what God wanted to do is he wanted to separate you from the uncleanness in this world, and also from the uncleanness that the world put inside you, that you don't die in your what uncleanness, or in other words, that you don't die in your sin. That's all God was doing, you know. So go back to the book of Genesis. You see God set up the world. Jesus did all this here. We understand that the book of Genesis, the main function was Jesus doing what he was going to do, creating the world. Adam and Eve sinned. Jesus began to help Adam and Eve also to try to preserve that bloodline so that he can be born in the world to what die. You know, he goes to Abraham, find a friend in Abraham, and told Abraham, "I'm going to build a great nation from you, and Isaac shall my seed be called, or I be what called." And so now he took Abraham. Abraham had Isaac. Isaac had what? Jacob. And Jacob, he established the covenant. And then in Israel, he established the what? Law. We went through the law, and we're still going through the law, even in the book of Leviticus, so that you can understand what God is saying here. So let's get into it, tooth to toenail. And what was he trying to do? He was trying to separate the children of Israel uncleanness so that they don't die in their uncleanness. And the Lord, who is the Lord Jesus, spoke unto Moses and unto what Aaron said, "Speak unto the children of Israel and say unto what them, when a man has a running issue of his out of his what flush, because of his issue he is what unclean." Now, what God is saying, if you are oozing out, you are bleeding, you are vomiting, you are being vile, then you are what unclean. Now, this is the physical application of what unclean is, because understanding Jesus is dealing with them from a health perspective, okay? Not necessarily the spiritual perspective now, but he's dealing with them from a health perspective. And this shall be his uncleanness in his what issue, whether his flush run with his what issue, like a pus or something coming out, or his flush be stopped from his what issue, it is his uncleanness. In other words, if like a scab or something come up and it stop, that's all that's saying. See, uh, every bed wherein he lies with his what that he had the what issue is what unclean, and everything wherein he sitteth shall be what clean, and everything and whatsoever he touches, uh, whatsoever touches his bed shall what wash his clothes and bathe himself in water to be what unclean. Now people think, oh, that was a horrible law for people to take. He was just being no. In the hospital, it's the same way. What it was is God don't want you to be infected, so you couldn't do all that. You just gonna go and somebody got AIDS, let's say back then, and jump in their bed because you may get AIDS. See, it's not that he was being so hard. Actually, this is intelligent, where he was teaching them how to be sanitarian. This is, this man is sick. We don't want to pass on the disease, so stop. Be cautious. Wash your clothes. Why? Because I don't need this to be an outbreak throughout the whole world. And whosoever touches his bed shall what wash his what clothes and bathe himself in the water and be unclean until the what evening. So God wasn't being so strict on people, but from a health perspective, can you understand? Okay, like the coronavirus or like the flu. When people sneeze on you, we really should go wash our hands first to try to stop this thing from getting us in. And we need to go and separate ourselves so that if we do get sick, we don't pass it on. So they try, oh, he just was so hard. No, he wasn't. This was a very smart thing for him to do with his people. I love how God doing this. He that sitteth on anything wherein he sitteth that has the word issue shall wash his word clothes and bathe himself with water and be unclean to the word evening. And he that touches the flush of him that hath the issue washes what clothes, which shall wash his clothes, bathe himself, and be unclean until the what evening. Why? Why? Why do he want them to be unclean for that period of time? Because flus, diseases, a lot of time you see symptoms show up within that time frame. And Jesus is being cautious so that this here issue don't be spread to anybody else. I'm gonna keep saying it so you can understand. This is from a what health perspective. And if he that hath the issue spit unto him that is what clean, then he shall wash his clothes, bathe himself in water, and be unclean to the what eating. Why is that? Because if he spit on him, then it pass diseases. This is why we are taught to wash our hands, sanitize, or to wash your soap with bacteria stuff. Why? What are they doing? They're trying to stop the spread of diseases. Now, mind you, back then we didn't have no antibiotic soap, no issue, none of that. They didn't have any of that, so they would have to wash themselves and keep themselves clean, uh, forever. And what saddle, whatsoever he what and what saddle soever he ride up on that have the issues shall be what unclean. So now Jesus is like I said, dealing with people from the health perspective. And whosoever touch anything that was under him shall be what unclean till the what evening. And he shall bear any, and he that bears any of these things shall wash his what clothes, bathe himself with water, and be unclean to the what evening. And whomsoever he touches that has the what issue and have not arisen and have not risen his what and rinsed, I'm sorry, and not have rinsed his hand with water, he shall what wash his what clothes and bathe himself and be unclean to the what evening. And the vessel of what earth that he what touches, which has the issue, shall be what broken. That means, like, back then they had clay pots and things like that. And the way they did things, because they use such raw material, you know, bacterial and things could really grow on there. And every vessel of what wood shall be what rinsed with what water. And so that's all that is. If you're looking at this from the health perspective, the way it is, you can understand why Jesus is doing what he doing. When he that have the issue is what clean of his what issue, then he shall number, and he shall what number to himself 7 days for his what cleansing, and wash his what clothes, and bathe his what flesh in running water, and he shall be what clean. And on the 8th day he shall take to himself 2 turtle doves and 2 young pigeons, and come before the what Lord until the door of the tabernacle of congregation, and give them to the what priest. Okay, and the priest shall offer them, and the one for his what sin offering, and the other for his what burnt offering. The priest shall make an atonement for him before the Lord that hath the what issue. Now, even though he's healed from the issue, and even though he's all right, he still had to make a what atonement or a sacrifice. He had to bring God, something to present. 2 turtle doves, it was rules to this game. And if any man seed uh, of uh, copulation, a corpulation or something out from him, then he shall what wash his flush with what water, and be unclean until the what evening. And this is uh man's seed, and so I'm thinking that's semen, sperm, or whatever. I'm thinking this is what he's talking about. And every garment and every skin wherein his seed was a corpulation, if I'm saying that right, shall be washed with what water, and be unclean until the what evening. The woman whosoever with whom the man shall lie with the seed of anybody. Can you pop on, and anybody know that word here? Because I want to say it right here. 18. That's COPUL. Huh?
Population.
Copopulation?
No, just copulation.
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 Okay. I was close. Okay. Yeah. If the woman whosoever that shall lay with the man's seed of corpulation, they shall both bathe themselves with the water, and be unclean to the what evening. In other words, now we know what it is. It's even our
sex.
Yes, I know. I know. Sometimes I got to be nice. Even our semen. I want to say this because I said something like this once before through the health restoration. Even our semen is, most people don't know, when it leaves our body and goes into a woman, it's rejected of her at first because it's not part of her. It's over time she began to receive it, and she began to accept that genetic code from that man. Okay. But if that man is sick, you can see how he spread disease through that. And even when they had sex, washcloth and stuff like that, just pre-evention, this man was not healthy. They still had to wash everything. Okay. But when you think about it from the health perspective, from the time they was in the desert, it makes sense because he was trying to contain or keep people from being sick. Okay, let's go back at it. And if a woman having a issue, and her issue is in the flesh, by be what blood, she shall be what put apart 7 days, and whosoever touches her that is unclean, touch her shall be unclean until the what evening. Okay, like I said, he just want to make sure everything is fine. Okay, when people get sick, sometimes we have to help them, but what he was trying to do is stop the spread of diseases, infectious diseases, or virus, or whatever. This is what it was for. It was just the washing of the clothes, the clean. Why? And this is something we really should stop doing today. If we caring for people, we need to wash our hands, wash our clothes, and do things today. This is not bad at all what he's teaching them. And everything that she will lay up on in her separation shall be what unclean. Why? Because it's a probability if she's sick, she can spread disease. And everything whosoever that sitteth up on shall be what unclean. And whosoever touch her bed shall be washed in what clothes. Again, why? Sanitary. Why? Bathe themselves in what water, and be unclean till the evening. Make sure that they are safe. And whosoever touch anything that she set up on shall be washed with what water, and bathe herself with water, and be unclean till the what evening. And if it be on her what bed, and up on anything whatsoever she sitteth, when he touches it, he shall be what unclean until the what evening. And if any man lie with her at all, and her flower is upon her. Now, what is the flower? It's the period. Okay, is upon her. He shall be unclean 7 days. Oh my God. And all the bed wherein he lies shall be what unclean. And if a woman shall have a issue of blood many days out of the time of her separation, and if it run beyond the time of her separation, all the days of the issue of her uncleanness shall be as the day of separation. She shall be what unclean. And all this is designed to do one thing, that is to stop the spread of diseases, environment, or sickness. This is all he's doing. This is a help. This is what we call the help referendum that he gave Israel that we didn't know about. He changed their diet. He did so much. This is it that he's talking about. He is trying to teach them so so that they can be clean or be healthy as he go forward here. Okay, every bed upon whereon she would lie all day of all the days of her issue shall be unto her as the bed of or her separation, and whatsoever sitteth and whatsoever she sitteth upon shall be what unclean, as the uncleanness of her was separation. And whosoever touches these things shall be what unclean, and shall wash his what clothes, and bathe himself in water, and be unclean until the what evening. And if she be cleansed, of her what issue, meaning that her period stop or her blood stop or whatever stop, then she shall number herself 7 days. So if your period was 7 days, you're going to be separated. Then you got 7 more days afterwards to make sure everything is stopped and everything is fine. And after she shall be what? Clean. So after all this should be clean. And on the 8th day she shall take unto her turtle dove, two turtle dove, or two young pigeons, and bring them unto the what priest to the door of the tabernacle of congregation. And the priest shall offer the one for a what sin offering, and a burnt and the other for a what burnt offering. And the priest shall make an atonement for her before the what Lord for the issue of her unclean. That means every time that special time in the month come, they had to go get two turtle doves or two pigeons to do this here. These shall those shall ye separate the children of Israel from what uncleanness, for that they die not in their uncleanness when they defile my tabernacle that is among what them. So Jesus had them doing all this encounter stuff to do it. Now, here's what he said in 32. This is the law of him that hath a what issue. Okay, male and female. He did with both of them. Our sperm could be what dangerous, and to stop the spread of diseases, you know, we had to be careful, especially back in those days. You see, you know, and of him whose seed goes from him and is defiled thereof, and her that is sick of the what flower. I don't know why they said sick of the flower like that, but it did. And him that hath and what issue of a what man, and of the what woman, and of him that what lies with her, that is what unclean. So Jesus said, this is what I expect for you to do. All right, we didn't blew through this. Let's get down to 16 so we can get ready to get into live discussion. Now, you finna see some things here that God do in 16. And I want you to listen careful about how he bring this about, you know. So I'm gonna read it first to you, then we'll talk about it. All right, and I'm gonna really highlight some of the points that we talk about when we get here. Okay. And the Lord, now who's the Lord? Jesus, all right. Spoken to Moses after the death of the what two sons of what Aaron, when they offered therefore before the Lord and what died. And the Lord said unto what Moses, speak unto Aaron thy what brother, that he come not at all times unto the what holy place, wherein the veil before the what mercy seat. Now that holy place is the same right there. What he's saying should have been the most holy place, that he come not at all times. So he couldn't just walk into the most holy place where Jesus was. He just couldn't do that. This is what he was telling them, which is upon the ark. Okay, so he was always there. Jesus was literally in that space, sitting upon the ark. That he died not. You see, because if he came in on Jesus in his raw form, he gonna die. For I will appear in a cloud up unto the mercy seat. See what is that? And thus shall Aaron come into the holy place. Now he can only come into the holy place when Jesus put that cloud before him. He couldn't see Jesus in his most spiritual form. We can't take that. With a young bullock for the sin offering, and a ram for the burnt offering. So now Aaron just couldn't walk in there. Okay, and he shall put up on the holy linen coat. He wanted him to be dressed a certain way, and he shall have the linen breeches upon his flesh, and he shall be girded with the linen girdle, and with the linen mitre shall he be attired. These are the holy garments. Therefore shall he wash his flesh with water, and so put them on. And he shall take of the congregation of the children of Israel 2 kids of the goats for the sin offering, and 2 rams for the burnt offering. And Aaron shall offer the bullock for a sin offering, which is for him self, and make atonement for him self, and for his house. So when Aaron, before he even come in, he's got to atone for him own self. See, that's why the priests need things. We have to do things, to put it in order. So God want him to do this. Okay, and he shall take 2 goats and present them before the Lord at the door of the tabernacle of congregation. And Aaron shall cast lots unto the 2 goats, the one lot for the Lord, and the other lot for the scapegoat. Okay, all right. And Aaron, let me since we got a scapegoat here, what do you think the scapegoat is going to be? Why is this a scapegoat? And who do this a scapegoat represent? Okay, you're going to cast lot for one for the Lord and the scapegoat. Jesus did not escape. We were the scapegoat. If we want to put this in a spiritual context, that's who we are. We are the scapegoat. Why? Because Jesus took the sacrifice so that we can avoid the judgment that came after our sin. Put it like that. And Aaron shall bring the goats Aaron shall bring the goat up on which the Lord lots fall. And so whatever goat gets Jesus' thing, and offer him for a sin offering. Why? Because Jesus represents the sin offering. So in other words, if that goat fell up on Jesus' side, he was dead. The other one was a scapegoat. But the goat on which the lot falls upon the goat which the lot fall to be the scapegoat, uh, shall be presented live before the Lord, and to make atonement for him, and to let him go for a escape unto the wilderness. Why? Because what Jesus was teaching them, that when he make that sacrifice, the same thing gonna happen to us. See, we represent the scapegoat, and if you really want to look at it in that manner and see what God doing. And Aaron shall bring the bullock for sin offering, and for him self, and shall make an atonement for himself, and for his house, and shall kill the bullock for the sin offering, which is for himself. Okay, and he shall take the censer full with burning coals of fire from off the altar before the Lord, and his hand filled with sweet incense, beaten small, and bring it wherein the veil. Okay, and he shall put the incense upon the fire before the Lord, that the cloud of the incense may cover the mercy seat that is upon the testimony, that he die not. And so now Moses Aaron gonna come in, and he's gonna take that big censer full of fire and coal. He's gonna put a special incense on there, and then it's gonna hide Jesus, as he sat on the mercy seat. And Jesus is always sitting on the testimony. Testimony, we learn as on Saturday, is the word of God. And he shall take the blood of the bullock and sprinkle it with his finger upon the mercy seat eastward. See, Jesus was also precise about where he wanted to sprinkle. And before the mercy seat shall he sprinkle the blood with his finger 7 times. They go with the 7th time again. And then shall he kill the goat of the sin offering. That is before the people. And to bring his blood unto the veil, and to put and do with that blood as he did with the blood of the bullock, and sprinkle it upon the mercy seat and before the mercy seat. So Aaron had to perform all these things into it. And the Lord shall make atonement for the holy place, because of the holy place, because of the uncleanness of the children of Israel. Okay, and because of the transgression in all their sins, and so shall he do for the tabernacle congregation to remain among them in the midst of their uncleanness. Okay, 17. And there shall be no man in the tabernacle of congregation when he goes in to make atonement for the holy place. Now, uh, that should be the most holy place, because the door of the congregation, well, maybe it is the holy place, because the most holy place is where the mercy seat is. Okay, so but anyway, when Aaron came in there, that's don't supposed to be nobody else in there in that holy place until he came out and have made the atonement for the people and for his house and for all the congregation of Israel. So nobody else had to be in it, couldn't be in there. Okay. And he shall go out unto the altar that is before the Lord, and make atonement for it, and shall take of the blood of the bullock and the blood of the goat, and put them into a horn of the altar round and about. And he shall sprinkle of the blood unto up on it with his finger. How many times? 7 times, and cleanse it, and hallow it from the uncleanness of the children of Israel. And when he hath made an end uh, reconcile the holy place, the tabernacle congregation and the altar, he shall bring the live goat, and Aaron shall lay both his hand up on the head of the live goat, and confess over him all the iniquity of the children of Israel, and all the congregation in their sin, and put them unto the head of the goat, and he shall send him away by the hand of the fit men unto the wilderness here. Okay, that is going to be the scapegoat. But this is what I want you to understand. He gonna put his hand on the head of the goat. This is one thing I believe that Jesus is going to do, and the end time. As of right now, Jesus has bearing all the iniquity of our sin. That's only until he come back here, until judgment is set. And I believe that when all is said and done, all the peoples who did right, confessed them sins, and that Jesus is carrying around, because Jesus is not carrying around the sin of sinners. You know, he's gonna put his hand on the enemy head, and he's gonna bear that stuff he calls us to do through all time. Now I believe that's gonna happen. Okay, but anyway, what he's doing here, he's sending the scapegoat into the wilderness, and the goat shall bear upon him all their iniquities upon the land not inhabited, and he shall let go the goat in the wilderness. So, and that is what Jesus is doing. He is, that's what he's teaching with this scapegoat. I'm going to make a sacrifice. You're going to be able to escape. See, so I just want to show you that that's going to be what I believe Jesus is going to do with the enemy when it's all said and done. He's going to bear it. He's going to be able to receive these sins that we are done in his care, because I believe Jesus is going to put his hand, as the priest put his hand on the goat, because whatever Jesus is doing here is also is him teaching us what's to come. I always believe that. Okay, 23. And Aaron shall come into the tabernacle congregation, and shall put off the linen garment which he put on when he went into the holy place, and shall leave them there. And he shall wash his flesh with water in the holy place, and put on his garment, and come forth and offer the burnt offering, and the burnt offering, and the burnt offering for the people, to make an atonement for himself and for the people. And the fat of the sin offering shall he burn upon the altar. Okay. And he that let go the goat for the scapegoat, and shall wash his clothes, both bathes his flesh with water, and after come into the camp. Why? Because that goat is carrying all the sins of the people. Because he didn't transfer the sins unto that goat, the same way the sins was transferred from us to Jesus when he died upon the cross. And the bullock for the sin offering, and the goat for the sin offering, whose blood um, was brought in to make atonement for the holy place, shall one carry forth without the camp, and that they shall burn in the fire their skin, and their flesh, and their dung. And he that burneth them shall wash his clothes, bathe his flesh in water, and afterward he shall come into the camp here. I think I went down too far. And this shall be the statute forever unto you, that in the seventh month, listen at that, on the 10th day of the month, ye shall afflict your soul. Now, what do he mean? You shall fast and do no work at all. See, he wanted them to fast, and they can't do no work. Okay, that's the 7th month, the 10th day of that month. He's very precise. Whether it be one of your own countrymen, or it was strangers that sojourning among you, nobody work. For on that day shall they shall the priest make atonement for you, to be to cleanse you, that ye may be cleansed from all your sins before the Lord. So now that particular day, the 7th month, okay, the 10th day of that month, you fast, you do no work, and the priest will go in and make atonement for their sins back then, okay, and cleanse you. All right. That ye may be clean from all your sins before the Lord. It shall be a Sabbath of rest unto you, and ye shall afflict your soul by a statute forever. In other words, Jesus saying this is another Sabbath. 17th day, the 10th month, he made a Sabbath. So the Sabbath of worship was a Saturday. This a Sabbath here could not have been a Saturday. It had to be. So a Saturday um, is the 7th day. It had to be somewhere like a Wednesday or something that they had to do this at that particular time. So it was the 7th month on the 10th day. I'm gonna show you guys the Jewish calendar at some point so that we can get into all this here and do it. All right. And the priest, whom ye shall anoint, and whom he shall consecrate to minister in the priest office in his father stead, shall make atonement, and shall put on the linen clothes, even in the holy garment. They're going, anybody who's doing this gonna have to follow the same rule. And he shall make the atonement for the holy sanctuary, and he shall make a atonement for the tabernacle congregation, and for the altar, and he shall make an atonement for the priest, and for all the peoples of the congregation. And this shall be a everlasting statute for you, to make atonement for the children of Israel for all their sins once a year. And so they did this particular thing here once a year. That new Sabbath, I said, that's when Aaron comes into the holy place so that he can deal with their sins once for the whole year. And And he did as the Lord commanded what Moses. And that brings us to the end of Leviticus 15 and 16. You see God is still dealing with the health restoration, things like that. And, he goes back and he's trying to keep people safe. He's trying to keep diseases from spreading. And then he goes in and he teach Aaron how to make that one sacrifice. That's the seventh month, the 10th day of the month. That's the second Sabbath that we found. The first one is on Saturday, National Day of Rest. And in this Sabbath, seventh month, okay, 10th day, Jesus was saying, you rest. No work, you fast. So I love it how he put it. So if you like what you hear, you got to go to LebanonChurchWaukegan.org. Again, that is LebanonChurchWaukegan.org. Go to our live broadcast tab. Look for the Bible study selection. Please click on it. Click on the Bible study selection. You get access to tons of video teachings such as what you see now. You also get a link to go live where you can come and ask the pastor as we go ahead and do now. Again, that is LebanonChurchWaukegan.org. Again, LebanonChurchWaukegan.org. Look for the live broadcast tab. A drop down menu with appear, select Bible study, join the community, access to videos, link to go live. May God bless each and every one of you tonight as we get ready to go live.